Courier versus Courier versus Courier. In this English pronunciation tutorial, we're going to use the British accent method to give you bronze, silver, or even gold level English pronunciation of these three words. I'm going to start by showing you the three pronunciation mistakes you're probably making with these words, which is why it's hard for you to tell the difference between them. This will give you bronze level English pronunciation. Then I'm going to show you how to take this pronunciation and make it sound like a native. That'll give you silver level pronunciation. And then I'm going to give you the power tip, which will give you gold level English pronunciation. And without the power tip, all the other tips are useless. So by all means, keep watching for that. And finally, I'm going to show you at the end of the video why even if you can clearly hear and pronounce the difference between these two words, why the consonants in these words could still make you sound unnatural, and I'm going to show you exactly what to do about it. So if you're a professional who wants more confidence, more influence, and more respect in English so you can grow your career, then you're in the right place. So let's dive in. Courier versus Courier versus Courier. If you're currently finding it difficult to hear the difference between these three words, it's not your fault. And the reason why it's not your fault is because these three words contain the three kinds of vowel sounds that your native language may well not have. We've got long vowel sounds, we've got diphthongs, and we've got weak vowel sounds. One of the reasons why English can be so difficult to develop clear pronunciation of is because of all the different kinds of vowel sounds that English has. And these three words are the perfect words to demonstrate this and give you confidence with your vowel sounds. So let's start by looking at the two words Courier and Courier. You might really struggle to hear the difference between these two words, and even for native speakers, it's quite difficult to identify the difference between these two words, okay? The reason why these two words are so similar is because the first syllable is exactly the same. It's very simply k, where you're making the K consonant sound, followed simply by a schwa sound. Or if you want to think of a schwa sound more easily, you're basically making noise. You're being super lazy and just going k. You're being as lazy as you can and you're just saying k. Okay, that's the first syllable, nice and easy. Where it gets more challenging is with the second part of both of these words. For the country Korea, the second part is ria. And for your career development, the second part of the word is ria. Okay, now, how do you pronounce these two second parts of the words? For career, what you've got is a long English vowel sound. It's E. What you're essentially doing is you're stretching your lips wide, E, and making the vowel sound last. E. It's not a short vowel sound, which is what your native language almost certainly has. It's a long vowel sound that lasts. And after that, you get very simply another schwa sound, like you get after the K, which is just simply you making noise. Okay, the good thing about the schwa sound is it allows you to be extra lazy. Okay, so if I bring that all together, you get k, re, K, re, I'm about to give you my number one tip for quickly becoming confident with long vowel sounds, which is perfect if your native language doesn't have them. But before I do that, let's look at the second word, which is career, as in your career development. The same applies for the first syllable, k. Where it gets more challenging and where it can sound very similar to the first word, career, is with the second part of the word, which is ria. So what's the difference between ria, as in career, and ria, as in career development? Well, the difference is that in career development, the vowel sound in the word is a diphthong. And a diphthong is essentially a transition between two vowel sounds. So what you get is ri, Courier. The diphthong here is the short I vowel sound followed by the schwa sound. So what you get is ria, ria, ria. Now the key to success with diphthongs is to make the first part of the diphthong take up about 75% of the length of the entire diphthong. So here, what we're doing is we're putting the main stress of the diphthong on the short English vowel sound and then transitioning to the schwa sound after that. Ria, ria, ria. That's compared to in Courier, it's ria, ria, ria. Now, it's highly likely that your native language might not have long vowel sounds or diphthongs. And the quickest and most effective way to learn long vowel sounds and diphthongs is to use the 2-second rule. It's a hack that I created that enables you to almost immediately feel how long vowel sounds and diphthongs should feel in your mouth. It's going to transform your vowel sounds in English. So we've now looked at Courier and Courier. Now let's move to Courier, which is a little different but still quite similar. The first syllable of Courier is the K sound again, but this time you've got an vowel sound where your lips are rounded. It's a short vowel sound, and your mouth is almost closed. There's about enough space in between your teeth for one finger only. A final tip for the vowel sound is that the highest part of your tongue is at the back of your mouth. So your tongue is pulled slightly further back in your mouth and the highest part is at the back. Even if you find that hard to feel, if you just do the two things that I've mentioned, you put your lips in the rounded position and keep your mouth nice and closed, you should still have a fairly good vowel sound. And then after you get that vowel sound, you get the R sound. So cur, cur, cur. Remember not to let your tongue touch the roof of your mouth for the R sound. That's very, very important. And I'm going to give you another super useful bit of advice on this tip later on in the video. So you've got the first syllable there, cur, cur, cur. Now the second part of the word, the reason why this is difficult for most non-native English speakers is because we've got two weak vowel sounds. Weak vowel sounds are unstressed vowel sounds where they're produced with less force, they're quieter, and they're very, very short. And the pronunciation of those two vowel sounds is ear, ear, ear. It's very similar to an ear diphthong. The only real difference is that your mouth starts in the long E vowel sound position, E, 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 but you produce the vowel sound without the force or the length. So the second part of this word is ear, ear, ear. And the whole word together, courier, courier, courier. Ideally as well, you should be able to feel the second part of this word as two syllables. Ear, 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 courier, courier, courier. So those are the sounds that go into these three words. And if you get these sounds confident and correct, then you're going to have bronze level English pronunciation. However, it's likely at this stage that you still have difficulties and that you're still not 100% confident with these three words. So let's move on to how to then pronounce these words like a native and get your pronunciation to silver level. All right. One of the main things that you can do to speak English like a native is to apply rhythm and stress to your English speaking. All words in English have a certain level of stress. And it's very important to make sure that you're putting your stress and emphasis on the parts of the words that should have that emphasis and then being lazy and more weak on the parts that shouldn't have that stress. Okay, so this is going to make these three words much, much easier for you. For the first two words, Courier and Courier, the stress is on the second syllable and part of the word. So in Courier, the country, the stress is on re, and for Courier, as in career growth, the stress is on that second syllable, which is the R sound and the ear diphthong. Ria, ria, ria. Again, because it's a diphthong, you put the stress on the primary part of that diphthong, which is why it sounds so similar to the country Korea. So Korea, Korea. All right? With Courier, the stress is on the first syllable. So the stress is in the opposite position in these words. It's on the first syllable. So let me go through each of these three words now, and I'm going to say them with the right stress. And what you should be able to notice is when you start to add stress into your pronunciation, is that the stressed syllable is louder, longer, and produced with more force, okay? And it should also sound higher in pitch. So let's go between the three words now. Korea, Korea, Courier, Korea, Korea, Courier, Korea, Korea, Courier, Korea, Korea, Courier. All right? If you're still finding the first two words almost identical in pronunciation and you can't hear the difference, that's not an issue, okay? Even if you're pronouncing these words essentially the same, you're still going to have good pronunciation of these words. It's more important that you're aware of it though, and that you're doing everything else right in these words, okay? So if you're finding it difficult, don't worry, you're still doing really, really well. Now, if you're finding this video useful so far, the video you're about to watch after this one is designed specifically for professionals like you who want to grow their career in English and speak English with more confidence every day. Okay, so by all means keep watching for that. Now we're about to get on to the power tip, which is going to give you gold level English pronunciation. Without the tip that you're about to learn, everything that you'll have learned up until now will be absolutely useless. So let's get started. But just before we do, if you're finding this video useful, then make sure to tap that thumbs up button below this video right now. Did you touch it? Yeah! Now, the power tip. Everything you've learned so far will be absolutely useless unless you see how to integrate it into your English speech just like a native. Okay, there's no point in learning pronunciation if you don't learn how to actually integrate it into your English speaking. And it's one thing to be able to pronounce words on their own, but it's another thing to be able to integrate them into your English speaking and connect them up with the words that come around them. So what I'm going to give you right now is an exercise, a sentence that you can practice to not only integrate these three words into your English speaking just like a native, but also for you to be able to use these words in connected speech, which will make your English flow much more smoothly and much more naturally. So the phrase that we're going to practice and follow along with me right now is his career was as a courier in Korea. Let's do it nice and slowly. His career was as a courier in Korea. Listen out for those vowel sounds. Listen out for that stress. His career was as a courier in Korea. 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 Can you hear how I'm pausing there in specific locations, but apart from where I have intentionally paused, the rest of the speech is connected and smooth and it flows from one word to another. One of the main things that the British accent method focuses on is integrating words into your English speech so you can actually use them like a native. And connecting words up and gliding from one word to another is one of the most effective ways for you to sound like a native, make your English flow more smoothly and naturally, and feel more confident when you speak. So let me just play the phrase that I've just said to you back to you right now at a super slow speed so you can hear exactly how it's connecting and where the pauses are. Then I'm going to say it at natural speed a few times for you, and then I'm going to give you the bonus tip, all right?
His career was as a courier in Korea. His career was as a courier in Korea. His career was as a courier in Korea.
Can you see how it's connected from one word to the next there? Now, the bonus tip. In this video, we have focused on the vowel sounds in these words because it's the vowel sounds that make these words sound so similar. And these words contain the three kinds of vowel sounds, long vowel sounds, diphthongs, and weak vowel sounds that your native language may not have. However, these three words also contain two consonants that can be extremely difficult for non-native English speakers because they're pronounced very, very differently in English to how they're pronounced in most other languages, the K sound and the R sound. Remember the techniques I taught you to pronounce these two consonants like a native in this video here. I want you to make sure that you're pronouncing these three words using the specific step-by-step techniques that I taught you in this video here. It's going to make pronouncing these three words so much more easy. And if you're still having difficulty with the vowel sounds in these words, it might even be because you're not using the techniques that I taught in this video here. So let's recap those techniques and make sure to pay special attention to step 2 in the R technique in this video here. I'll see you here right now.